My stepdaughter took my place at the Christmas table. I was treated like a guest, so I took control. I walked into my dining room on Christmas Day and stopped cold. My stepdaughter Madison was sitting in my chair, at the head of my table, in my house, arranging place cards like she was hosting. "Oh, Diane," she said brightly when she saw me. "I put you here." She gestured to a seat halfway down the table. Not at the head, not next to my husband. Halfway down, like I was a guest, at my own Christmas dinner, in my own home, at the table I'd set and the meal I'd cooked. My husband Robert stood nearby, adjusting the centerpiece Madison had brought. He saw my face but said nothing, and I realized they'd planned this. My stepdaughter had decided to take over my role as hostess, and my husband was letting it happen. So I took control. My name is Diane Foster. I'm 56 years old. I've been married to Robert for 12 years. I've been Madison's stepmother since she was 14. And this Christmas, she decided she was the lady of the house, took my seat, rearranged my table, treated me like an afterthought in my own home. This is the story of what happened when I refused to be displaced, when I reclaimed my position, when I showed everyone exactly whose house this was. Let me start at the beginning so you understand how we got here. I met Robert 13 years ago. I was 43, divorced for 3 years, living alone in a nice house in the suburbs, 3 bedrooms, well-maintained, completely mine. Robert was recently widowed. His wife Linda had died of cancer 2 years earlier. He had 1 daughter, Madison, then 13, still grieving her mother, still adjusting to life without her. We met through mutual friends, started dating slowly. Robert was careful about introducing me to Madison, wanted to make sure it was serious before disrupting her life further. When I finally met Madison at 14, she was polite but reserved, clearly still mourning her mother, clearly not interested in her father dating. "I'm not trying to replace your mom," I told her that first meeting. "I know she was special. I just care about your dad and want to get to know you." She nodded, didn't say much, made it clear she was tolerating me, not accepting me. Over the next year, as Robert and I got more serious, Madison remained distant, answered questions with one word, never initiated conversation, made it obvious I was an intruder in her life with her dad. Robert kept saying, "Give her time. She's still grieving. She'll come around." After 2 years of dating, Robert and I got engaged. Madison was 16. When Robert told her, she cried, "Dad, it's too soon. Mom's only been gone 4 years. Sweetheart, I loved your mom. I always will, but I'm allowed to move on. Diane makes me happy. But what about me? Where do I fit? You're my daughter. That never changes. Diane isn't replacing your mom. She's just becoming part of our family." Madison didn't come to our engagement party, said she wasn't feeling well. We got married when Madison was 17. Small ceremony. She attended, sat in the front row, with a neutral expression, left immediately after. After the wedding, we had to decide where to live. Robert's house was the one he'd shared with Linda, full of memories, Madison's childhood home. My house was mine alone. No ghosts, no history. "I think we should live in your house," Robert said. "Fresh start for all of us. Madison can have a new room, make it her own." "What about her memories of her mom? Won't she want to stay in that house? She's going to college next year anyway. And honestly, I think the fresh start would be good for her. That house has a lot of grief in it." So we sold Robert's house. Madison was upset but didn't fight it. She moved into my house, now our house, with her things, set up her room, made it clear she was counting the days until college. She left for college at 18, came home for holidays and summers, but it was always temporary, always visiting, never really living there. I tried to connect with her during those visits, asked about school, her friends, her life. She answered politely but minimally, kept me at arm's length. "She's just busy with her own life," Robert said. "It's not personal." But it felt personal. She'd talk to Robert for hours, share stories, laugh, connect. With me, she was cordial but cold, like I was Robert's wife but not anyone important to her. Years passed. Madison graduated college, got a job in the city, visited less frequently. When she did visit, she was polite to me but warm only with Robert. At 26, she got engaged to a man named Tyler. Nice guy. Respectful. They'd been dating 2 years. Planning the wedding was interesting. Madison consulted Robert about everything. Venue, menu, guest list. She'd ask Robert's opinion, listen carefully, thank him. She never asked me. Not once. Even though I'd helped raise her from 14. Even though I'd been in her life for 12 years. Madison, if you need help with anything, flowers, decorations, anything, I'm happy to help, I offered. Thanks, but Tyler's mom is helping me with that stuff. Tyler's mom, not me. The woman who'd been married to her father for a decade. Who'd hosted her during college breaks. Who'd sent care packages and birthday cards. Tyler's mom, because I wasn't really family. The wedding happened. Beautiful event. Madison looked stunning. At the reception, she gave a speech thanking her dad, thanking Tyler's parents, thanking friends. She didn't mention me. Not once. Robert noticed. Sweetheart, Diane's been in your life for 12 years. I thanked you, Dad. You're my family. The implication was clear. Robert was family. I was not. After the wedding, Madison and Tyler lived in the city. We saw them occasionally, usually for holidays, always at our house, since we had the space. Madison would show up, hug Robert, say, "Hi, Diane," to me politely, and then focus all her attention on her father. I was acknowledged but not included. This past November, Madison called Robert. "Tyler and I want to host Christmas this year. At your house. We'll handle everything. Cooking, decorating, the whole thing. You and Diane just have to show up." Robert was thrilled. "That's wonderful. Diane, Madison wants to host Christmas here." I was cautious. "Host here? In our house?" "Yeah, she said she'll take care of everything. We don't have to do anything." "But it's our house. I usually host Christmas." "I know, but she's offering to do it this year. Give you a break. Won't that be nice?" A break I hadn't asked for, from hosting in my own home. Did she ask me if I wanted her to take over? "She's trying to do something nice for us. For you. She's doing something for you." Robert looked uncomfortable. "Diane, please. She's trying to be involved. Let her do this." I didn't want to fight about it. "Fine. She can help. But I'm still hosting. It's my house. Our house. My house that I owned before we married. And I host Christmas here every year. She can help, but I'm not being sidelined. No one's sidelining you. She just wants to contribute." I let it go, but I had a bad feeling. 2 weeks before Christmas, Madison showed up with boxes of decorations. "I'm here to decorate. I have a whole vision for this year." "I already have decorations," I said. "In the attic. I put them up every year." "I know, but I brought some new things. Fresh look. You'll love it." She started unpacking. Everything was silver and white, very modern, very different from my traditional red and green. "Madison, this doesn't really match the house." "Trust me, Diane. It'll look amazing." She spent the afternoon decorating, changed everything, replaced my tree topper, swapped out my throw pillows, moved furniture around to make room for her new pieces. When she was done, my living room looked like a different house. Beautiful. Yes, but not mine. "What do you think?" she asked Robert when he got home. "It's stunning, sweetheart. You have great taste." He didn't ask what I thought, and I didn't offer. The week before Christmas, Madison called. "I need to come over and plan the table. Can I come tomorrow?" "I usually set the table Christmas morning." "I know, but I want to do place cards and a special centerpiece. I need to plan it in advance." "Madison, I appreciate your help. But I've been hosting Christmas for years. I know how to set a table." "I know you do. But I want this year to be special. Please, Diane, let me do this." She had that tone, the one that said I was being difficult, that I was the problem. "Fine, come tomorrow." She showed up with even more boxes, place cards, chargers, an elaborate centerpiece, fancy napkin rings. "Where are you putting everyone?" I asked as she started laying things out. "Dad at the head, of course. Tyler next to me here. You and Diane down here. Me, down there, halfway down my own table. I usually sit next to Robert, at the head." "I know, but I thought with Tyler and me here it would be nice for us to be near Dad. You know, since we don't see him as much. This is my house, Madison. I sit next to my husband." She looked at Robert, who'd just walked in. Dad, where do you want me to sit? Wherever you want, sweetheart. Diane and I are flexible. Flexible? He was making me flexible about my own seat, at my own table. Actually, I'm not flexible about this. I sit at the head of my table with my husband. That's not changing. Madison's face hardened. Fine. I'll rearrange. She moved things around, clearly annoyed. Put me next to Robert, but made it obvious she was accommodating me, not respecting me. When she left, Robert said, "Did you have to make that difficult?" I didn't make anything difficult. I just refused to be displaced in my own home. She's trying to do something nice. She's trying to take over. There's a difference. You're being territorial. It's my house. Of course I'm territorial. We didn't resolve it. Just went to bed tense. Christmas Eve, Madison and Tyler arrived. She immediately started fussing with the decorations, moving things, adding more. Madison, everything looks fine. I just want it perfect. She went into the kitchen, started pulling out ingredients. I'm prepping some things for tomorrow. I already prepped everything yesterday. I know, but I want to make a few different sides. Add some options. The menu is set. I've already cooked half of it. Diane, I'm not trying to step on your toes. I just want to contribute. You can contribute by helping with what I've already planned, not by redoing everything. She looked at Robert. Again, always looking at him to intervene, to take her side. Diane, let her make a few dishes. What's the harm? The harm was I'd been erased, pushed aside, made irrelevant in my own home. But I didn't say that. Just went to bed early. Let them do whatever they wanted. Christmas morning, I woke up early. Went downstairs to start final preparations. Madison was already there, setting the table. My table. With her place cards, her centerpiece, her vision. And she was sitting in my chair, at the head of the table, arranging everything like she was the hostess. Madison, what are you doing? Setting the table. I wanted to surprise you. Get it all done before you came down. You're sitting in my seat. I was just arranging things. I'll move when everyone sits down. But the place card in front of that seat said, Madison. The place card says Madison. Oh yeah, I thought I'd sit here, near the kitchen. Easier for serving. That's my seat. I sit there every year. It's at the head of my table in my house. Diane, it's just a seat. Does it really matter? Yes, it mattered. Because it wasn't about the seat. It was about her taking my place. Literally. Robert came downstairs, saw us standing there. Everything okay? Madison put herself at the head of the table, in my seat. Diane, I just thought, I don't care what you thought. This is my house, my table, my seat. You don't get to take it. Dad, I was just trying to help. I know, sweetheart. He looked at me. Diane, can we not do this on Christmas? I'm not doing anything. She's the one trying to take over. Take over? I'm trying to give you a nice Christmas. I'm trying to do something special. But you won't let me do anything. Because you're not trying to help me. You're trying to replace me. That's ridiculous. Is it? You redecorated my house, redid my menu, and now you're sitting in my seat at the head of my table like you're the lady of this house. How is that not trying to replace me? Silence. Madison's face red. Robert uncomfortable. Tyler, who'd been watching from the doorway, spoke up. Maybe we should all just sit down and... No, I said firmly. We're not sitting down until this is resolved. Diane, Robert started. No, Robert, I'm done. Madison has spent this entire Christmas season taking over my home, my decorations, my meal, my table. And you've let her. You've taken her side every single time. You've made me feel like a guest in my own house. That's not... Yes, it is. And I'm not doing it anymore. I walked to the head of the table, picked up Madison's place card, moved it down the table, put my own name at the head. I'm sitting here, next to my husband, at the head of my table, in my house. Madison, you're welcome to sit wherever you'd like, but not in my seat. If you've ever been pushed aside in your own home, made to feel like a guest in your own space, had someone try to take your role without asking, you know this feeling. The need to reclaim what's yours, the refusal to be erased. Share your experience in the comments. And if these stories of reclaiming power resonate with you, please subscribe to Lindsay Stories. Madison looked at Robert. Dad? Madison, sit down, he said quietly. But sit down. She moved to a different seat, sat down, looked like she might cry. Tyler sat next to her, put a hand on her arm, said nothing. Robert looked at me. Are you happy now? No, I'm not happy, but I'm not going to be displaced in my own home anymore. We ate Christmas dinner in near silence. Madison barely spoke. Robert was tense. Tyler tried to make small talk that went nowhere. When it was over, Madison and Tyler left quickly. She hugged Robert, said, "Bye, Diane," to me without looking at me. Drove away. Robert turned to me. I hope you're satisfied. You ruined Christmas. I didn't ruin Christmas. I refused to be erased. There's a difference. She was trying to do something nice, and you made her feel like shit. She was trying to take over my house, and you let her? It's not just your house. We're married. This is our house. Then why don't you ever take my side? Why is it always Madison's feelings that matter? Because she's my daughter, and she lost her mother, and I'm trying to help her feel included. Included? She was trying to replace me. She took my seat at my own table. It's a seat, Diane. Just a fucking seat. No, Robert. It's not just a seat. It's my position, my role, my place in this family. And she tried to take it. And you let her. He stared at me. Then, maybe she tried to take it because you've never given her a real place here. Those words hit like a slap. What? You've always kept her at arm's length. Been polite but never really warm. She knows you see her as Robert's daughter, not as family. Because that's what she wanted. She's made it clear for 12 years. That I'm not her family? She didn't even mention me in her wedding speech. Because you never tried to really be part of her life. You just existed in the same house as her. I tried everything. She shut me out. She chose to keep me distant. Because her mother died and you showed up a year later. She needed time, and you never gave her the patience she needed. We were both shouting now. I gave her 12 years, Robert. 12 years of patience, of trying, of being shut out. And now she waltzes in and tries to take over my house, and you think I should just let her? I think you should let her feel like she belongs here. She belongs as a daughter who visits, not as the lady of the house. That's my role. Maybe that's the problem. You care more about your role than about her. And you care more about her feelings than about respecting me. We stood there, both breathing, hard, both furious. Finally, Robert said quietly, I need some air. He left, went for a walk, came back 2 hours later. We didn't speak for the rest of the day. The next morning, Madison called Robert. I could hear him on the phone in the other room. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry you were upset. No, it's not your fault. She's just, I don't know. Yes, I know you were trying to help. Always Madison. Always her feelings. Never mind. When he came back, I said, Are you going to apologize to me? For what? For taking her side. For letting her take over my house. For making me feel like I don't matter. I'm not apologizing for wanting my daughter to feel welcome. She was more than welcome. She was taking over. That's your interpretation. No, Robert. That's what happened. She literally sat in my seat. And you humiliated her on Christmas. I set a boundary. You made her cry. Acha, she tried to erase me. We were at an impasse. Over the next few days, the tension didn't lift. Robert barely spoke to me. Spent a lot of time on the phone with Madison. Made it clear he thought I was wrong. You could have just let her have the seat, he said one evening. Why should I? Because it would have made her happy. And it's just a seat. It's not just a seat. It's symbolic. She was taking my place. Or maybe she was just trying to feel like she belonged. By displacing me? That's not belonging. That's replacing. You're being dramatic. And you're being blind. That night, I did something I'd been considering. I called my friend Susan, another woman in a blended family. Told her everything. He's wrong, she said immediately. You were right to reclaim your seat. He thinks I was cruel to Madison. Madison was cruel to you. She came into your house and tried to take over. That's not okay. But she lost her mother. Robert keeps saying I need to be understanding. Understanding doesn't mean letting yourself be erased. You can have compassion for her loss without accepting being displaced. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Stand your ground, Diane. You're the wife. You're the lady of that house. Don't let anyone take that from you. I hung up feeling validated, but also sad, because my marriage felt damaged, and I didn't know how to fix it. New Year came and went. Robert and I barely celebrated. He was still angry, still thought I'd been wrong. In mid-January, Madison called, asked to speak to me. Diane, can we talk? Of course. I'm sorry about Christmas. I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to take over. I waited, because there was more coming. But I felt like you were being really territorial. Like you didn't want me involved. Madison, I didn't mind you being involved. I minded you taking over. I was just trying to make it special. By redecorating my entire house without asking. By redoing my menu. By sitting in my seat. I thought you'd appreciate not having to do everything. I would have appreciated being asked, being consulted, being treated like the hostess instead of being sidelined. Long pause. Then, I guess I didn't think about it that way. That's the problem, Madison. You didn't think about me at all. You thought about what you wanted, and Dad supported that, and I got pushed aside. I didn't mean for you to feel pushed aside, but I was, in my own home. Another pause. I'm sorry. Really. I should have asked you before changing everything. Thank you. I appreciate that. But Diane, I still think you overreacted about the seat. And there it was, the apology with a condition. I didn't overreact. I reclaimed my position. It felt really aggressive. It felt necessary, because you and Robert were both treating me like I should just accept being displaced. We weren't. Yes, you were. And I'm done accepting that. Silence. Then, I don't think this conversation is going anywhere. Probably not. But Madison, I need you to understand something. This is my house. I'm Robert's wife. I'm the hostess here. You're always welcome. But you don't get to take my role. Ever again. Okay. Her voice was cold now. I'll remember that. She hung up. I told Robert about the conversation. He wasn't pleased. She tried to apologize and you threw it back in her face. She apologized for some things, but still thought I overreacted. That's not a real apology. You could have met her halfway. Why is it always me who has to meet her halfway? Why doesn't she ever have to come all the way? Because she's the one who lost her mother? And I'm the one who's been pushed aside for 12 years. When does my patience run out? When do my feelings matter? Robert didn't answer that. February came. Robert's birthday. Madison wanted to come over and cook him dinner. At our house. She wants to cook for you here? I asked. Yes, she wants to make it special. At our house? Yes. Without asking me. She's asking now. She's telling you her plan and expecting me to accommodate it. Diane, it's my birthday. Can she please cook dinner for me? She can cook dinner for you anywhere. At her place. At a restaurant. Anywhere but here. This is my house too. And it's mine. And I'm tired of her using it like it's hers. She's my daughter. And I'm your wife. When are you going to prioritize me? He looked at me. Maybe never. Because she's my child. And you're an adult who should be mature enough to share. Those words broke something in me. I'm done, Robert. Done with what? Done being second place to Madison. Done being made to feel like a guest in my own home. Done fighting for basic respect from both of you. What are you saying? I'm saying I can't do this anymore. You're leaving me? Over a seat at a table? No. I'm leaving because you've made it clear that Madison's feelings will always matter more than mine. That her wants will always come before my needs. That I'll never be a priority. That's not true. It is true. You just said it. You'll maybe never prioritize me. Because she's your daughter. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. And I believe you. And I deserve better than that. I went upstairs, started packing a bag. Robert followed me. Diane, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You've made your choice. Madison is your priority. I'm just the woman you married. That's not fair. What's not fair is spending 12 years trying to build a family with someone who sees me as dispensable. I don't see you as dispensable. Then why do you always take her side? Why do you never defend me? Why am I always the one who has to give in? He didn't have an answer. I finished packing. I'm going to Susan's for a few days. We both need space to think. Diane. Robert, I love you. But I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being erased in my own life. I left, drove to Susan's house, cried for hours. Susan let me cry, then said, "What do you want to do?" I don't know. I love him. But I can't keep living like this. Then don't. You have options. Like what? Like demanding he chooses. You or this pattern with Madison. I can't make him choose between me and his daughter. You're not. You're making him choose between respecting you and continuing to let Madison disrespect you. There's a difference. I thought about that for days. Robert called multiple times. I didn't answer at first. Finally, after 3 days, I called back. "We need to talk," I said. "Yes, we do. But not at the house. Somewhere neutral." We met at a coffee shop. He looked tired. "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I'm sorry I made you feel like you don't matter. Do you understand why I left?" "I think so. But I want you to tell me. Robert, for 12 years, I've tried to be a good stepmother to Madison. I've been patient with her grief. I've given her space. I've never tried to replace Linda. But I've also never been respected as your wife, as the lady of our house. And this Christmas, she tried to literally take my place. And you let her. I thought I was helping her feel included. By excluding me. That's not how it works." He was quiet. Then, "You're right. I've been so focused on Madison's feelings that I haven't protected yours. I need you to protect us. Our marriage, our home. I need you to set boundaries with Madison." "What kind of boundaries?" "She doesn't redecorate without asking both of us. She doesn't redo the menu without consulting me. She doesn't take over hosting duties in our house. And she definitely doesn't sit in my seat at my table." "Okay, I can do that." "Can you? Because every time I've tried to set those boundaries, you've told me I'm being territorial or cruel. Because I was wrong. You weren't being territorial. You were protecting your role. And I should have supported that. Why didn't you?" He looked down. "Because Linda died. And I feel guilty. And Madison lost her mother. And I've spent years trying to make up for that. But you're right. I can't make up for her mother dying by letting her erase you. I'm not asking you to love her less. I'm asking you to respect me equally. I know. And I will. I promise. I need to believe you, Robert. Because if this pattern continues, I can't stay. I understand. And I'll prove it to you." We talked for 2 more hours. Made a plan. Agreed on boundaries. Decided how we'd communicate them to Madison. I moved back home that evening. Cautiously hopeful. A week later, we invited Madison and Tyler to dinner. At a restaurant. Neutral ground. "We need to talk," Robert said. "About what?" Madison asked, though she looked nervous. "About Christmas. And boundaries going forward." "Dad, I already apologized." "I know. But I need to apologize too. I let things happen that shouldn't have happened. And I need to make sure they don't happen again." Madison looked at me, then back at Robert. "What do you mean?" "I mean that Diane is my wife. This house is her house, our house. And when you come over, you're a guest. A beloved guest. But a guest. I know that. You don't act like you know that. You redecorated without asking her. You changed the menu she'd planned. You sat in her seat at her table. You acted like the lady of the house. And I let you. And that was wrong." Madison's face flushed. "I was trying to help." "I know. But you weren't helping. You were taking over. And that's not okay. So now I'm not allowed to do anything at your house? You're allowed to visit, to help when asked, to contribute when consulted. But you're not allowed to take over. That's Diane's role. And I should have made that clear years ago. This is ridiculous. She's turned you against me. No one's turned me against you. I'm setting boundaries I should have set long ago. This is because she's insecure. Madison, I said calmly, I'm not insecure. I'm your father's wife. And I deserve respect in my own home. That's not insecurity. That's basic respect. You've never liked me. That's not true. But I also won't be pushed aside in my own life to accommodate you. She looked at Tyler, then at Robert. Are you really doing this? Choosing her over me? I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm asking you to respect my wife. That's not unreasonable. Fine. She stood up. If that's how it is, I guess I won't visit anymore. Madison, Robert started. No. If I'm not welcome to be myself in your house, I won't come. She grabbed her purse. Tyler followed her. They left. Robert looked devastated. She'll come around, I said quietly. What if she doesn't? Then she'll have chosen to stay away rather than respect your wife. That's her choice. He nodded. But he looked broken. Madison didn't call for 3 weeks. Robert tried calling her. She didn't answer. Finally, she sent a text. I need some space. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Robert was heartbroken. I've lost my daughter. You haven't lost her. You've set a boundary. She's choosing how to respond to it. She's choosing to leave. For now. But Robert, if we don't set boundaries, we lose our marriage. Is that better? He didn't answer. But he didn't push back either. In March, Madison reached out, asked to meet Robert for lunch. Just him. He went. Came back quiet. She says she understands the boundaries, but she feels like I'm choosing you over her. Are you? I'm choosing my marriage. Is that the same thing? Sometimes. And that's okay. She wants to come over for Easter. Says she'll respect the boundaries. Okay. You're okay with that? Yes. If she respects our home, she's always welcome. Easter came. Madison and Tyler arrived. She was polite to me, formal, but respectful. She didn't try to redecorate, didn't redo the menu. When we sat down for dinner, she sat where I'd indicated. Not at the head. It was awkward, but it was respectful. After they left, Robert said, That was better. Yes, it was. She still seems hurt. She's adjusting to boundaries she didn't have before. That's hard, but it's necessary. He nodded. Over the next months, things slowly improved. Madison visited occasionally, always respectful, never pushing boundaries. But the warmth was gone. She was polite but distant, like I'd always wanted basic respect, but lost any chance of real connection. Is this what you wanted? Robert asked one day. What do you mean? Madison being polite but cold. Is that better than how things were? She was always cold to me. Now she's just also respectful. But we've lost something. What did we lose? She was never warm. She was never welcoming. We lost the illusion that she wanted me as family. That's harsh. That's honest. He couldn't argue with that. It's been 10 months since that Christmas. 10 months since I reclaimed my seat at my own table. Madison comes over maybe once every other month. Always respectful. Always polite. Always careful not to overstep. But there's a distance now that wasn't there before. Or maybe it was always there, just hidden behind her attempts to take over. Robert is still adjusting, still mourning the relationship he thought he had with Madison, still wishing things were warmer. But our marriage is better. He respects me now, defends me now, puts our relationship first. Do you regret it? He asked me last week. Standing up on Christmas? No. Do you regret supporting me? No. But I miss how things used to be. How things used to be. You were caught between your daughter and your wife. Now you've chosen your wife. That's what marriage requires sometimes. I didn't think it would cost me my relationship with Madison. You haven't lost her. She's just learning that you have a wife who matters. That's hard for her. But it's necessary. He nodded. But he still looked sad. My name is Diane Foster. I'm 56 years old. This past Christmas, my stepdaughter took my place at the Christmas table, sat in my seat at the head of my own table, treated me like a guest in my own home. So I took control, reclaimed my seat, set boundaries, demanded respect, and my marriage survived because I refused to be erased. This isn't a story about being cruel to a grieving daughter. It's about refusing to be displaced, about claiming your position as a wife, about demanding respect in your own home. Madison lost her mother. That's tragic. But that tragedy doesn't give her the right to erase me. I spent 12 years being understanding, being patient, being accommodating. And it was never enough, because she didn't want me to be patient. She wanted me to disappear. So I stopped disappearing, and I started standing my ground. If this story resonates, if you've been made to feel like a guest in your own home, if you've had someone try to take your role, if you've had to fight to be respected in your own space, share this. Comment with your experience. Let others know they're not alone in these battles for respect and subscribe to Lindsay stories, because these truths about boundaries and position need to be told. My table, my seat, my home, my marriage. I took control, and I'd do it again. That's everything. What I haven't fully explained yet is what it means to have your position in your own home challenged. Not just your space, but your role, your identity as the lady of the house. When Madison sat in my chair at the head of my table, she wasn't just taking a seat. She was taking my position, symbolically declaring herself the hostess, the matriarch, the one in charge. And when Robert didn't immediately correct that, he was agreeing with her declaration. That's what hurt most, not Madison's audacity, but Robert's complicity. After I moved back home following those days at Susan's, I started seeing things more clearly, patterns I'd dismissed for years, ways Madison had been positioning herself as Robert's primary woman all along, the way she'd call Robert and talk for an hour without asking if I was there or wanted to say hi, the way she'd send Robert texts throughout the day but never include me, the way she'd make plans with Robert and mention me as an afterthought. You and Diane can come too. She'd been treating me like Robert's +1 for 12 years, and I'd accepted it. Told myself she was grieving, that she needed time, that eventually she'd see me as family. But she never intended to see me as family. She intended to keep her father to herself. And any attempt I made to claim my rightful position as Robert's wife was seen as me being territorial or threatening. Susan helped me understand this one evening over wine. She sees you as competition, Susan said. Not as a stepmother, as competition for her father's attention and love. But I'm not competing with her. I'm his wife. That's a different relationship. Intellectually, she knows that. But emotionally, she's been the woman in his life since her mother died. You coming in disrupted that dynamic. She was 14 when I met Robert. A child who'd been playing caretaker to her grieving father for a year, who probably felt responsible for his happiness, who saw his relationship with you as a betrayal of that responsibility. That's not healthy. No, but it's common. And if Robert didn't establish clear boundaries early on, that you're his wife and she's his daughter and those are different roles, then she never learned them. So what do I do now? You've already done it. You've established those boundaries. Now you maintain them, consistently, even when it's hard. Robert struggles with it. He feels guilty. Of course he does. He's been letting Madison act like his emotional wife for years. Setting boundaries now feels like rejection to her, and he hates seeing her hurt, so he'd rather see me hurt. Not consciously, but yes, because her hurt is loud and obvious. Your hurt has been quiet and patient. He's learned he can hurt you without consequence. That hit me hard, because it was true. For 12 years, I'd swallowed my hurt, been understanding, been patient, never made demands, never pushed back hard. And Robert had learned that my boundaries were flexible, that I'd always give in eventually, that Madison's tears mattered more than my quiet pain. The Christmas table was the first time I'd ever drawn a hard line, ever refused to bend, ever made my hurt loud enough to compete with Madison's. And it shocked them both. In April, something happened that tested our new boundaries. Madison called Robert to tell him she was pregnant. Robert was thrilled. We're going to be grandparents. I was happy for them, genuinely. That's wonderful news. She wants to come over this weekend to tell us in person. Great. I'll make dinner. They came over Saturday evening. Madison looked nervous. We wanted to tell you in person, she said. We're having a baby in November. Robert hugged her. I'm so happy for you, sweetheart. Tyler was beaming. We're really excited. Congratulations, I said warmly. This is wonderful. Madison looked surprised, like she expected me to be less enthusiastic. We had dinner, talked about the pregnancy, names they were considering, nursery plans. At one point, Madison said, Mom would have been so excited. Robert's face fell. She would have. I stayed quiet. Let them have their moment. But Madison looked at me. Do you think about that? How Linda would have felt? It was a strange question. I think about how happy she'd be for you. But do you think about how she should be here? How this should be her moment? Madison, Robert started. No, it's okay, I said. Yes, Madison. I think about how Linda should be here. How she should be the one you're sharing this with. How unfair it is that cancer took her before she could see this. Madison's eyes filled with tears. But Madison, I also think about how I'm here. How I've been here for 12 years. How I'm not trying to replace your mother, but I am trying to be present in your life. And how I'd like to be part of this baby's life, if you'll let me. She wiped her eyes, nodded. I'd like that. It was a small breakthrough, fragile, but real. Over the next months, as Madison's pregnancy progressed, something shifted. She called more often, included me in conversations about baby things, asked my opinion on nursery colors and equipment. She's reaching out to you, Robert observed. Pregnancy is making her think about motherhood, about Linda, about what she lost, but also about what she has. Do you think she finally sees you as family? I don't know, but she's seeing me as someone who can help her. That's a start. In June, Madison asked me to go shopping with her. Just the two of us. Really? I was shocked. Yeah, I need to register for baby stuff and Tyler's useless at this and I could use your help. We spent 4 hours at a baby store. She asked my opinion on everything, listened to my advice, even laughed with me a few times. At lunch afterward, she said, "Thank you for coming with me." Of course. I'm happy to help. I know I've been, she trailed off, difficult with you for a long time. You lost your mother. That's hard. But I took it out on you, and that wasn't fair. No, it wasn't. But I understand why. Do you? Because I'm not sure I do. I'm about to be a mother, and I can't imagine my child losing me. And I can't imagine someone else stepping in. And I know I'd want them to be kind to my child, and I haven't been kind to you. It was the most honest she'd ever been with me. Madison, you've been grieving. Grief isn't kind. It just is. But I'm 31 now. At some point, I have to stop using grief as an excuse. You're not using it as an excuse. You're processing it. That takes as long as it takes. I'm sorry. For Christmas. For taking your seat. For treating you like you didn't belong. You do belong. You're Dad's wife. This is your house. I should have respected that. I felt tears sting my eyes. Thank you. That means a lot. And I'm sorry it took me getting pregnant to figure it out. Better late than never. We smiled at each other. Tentatively, but genuinely. When I told Robert about the shopping trip and conversation, he cried. I never thought I'd see this, he said. You two actually connecting. It's not perfect, but it's progress. Thank you for being patient with her. Thank you for finally setting boundaries that made this possible. He understood what I meant. Without those boundaries at Christmas, without me standing my ground, Madison would have kept seeing me as someone she could ignore or displace. The confrontation, painful as it was, forced her to see me as real, as someone with feelings and rights and position. The baby was born in November. A girl. They named her Emma. Madison called from the hospital. We want you to come meet her. Robert and I went immediately. Madison looked exhausted but radiant. This is Emma, she said, holding out the baby. I took Emma carefully, looked at her tiny, perfect face. She's beautiful. She's going to call you Grandma Diane, Madison said. If that's okay? I looked up. Really? Yeah. You're Dad's wife. You're Emma's grandmother. That's how it is, Tyler added. We want Emma to have all the family she can get. Robert was crying again. Happy tears this time. I held Emma and felt something shift, not just in my relationship with Madison, but in how I saw myself. I was a grandmother now, part of this baby's family. Not just Robert's wife, but Emma's Grandma Diane. It made everything, the fighting, the boundaries, the Christmas confrontation worth it. Over the next year, Madison and I developed an actual relationship. She'd call me for parenting advice, invite me to help with Emma, include me in family events, not just as Robert's wife, but as Emma's grandmother. You're good with her, Madison said one day, watching me hold Emma. Babies are easy to love. I mean, you're good with Emma specifically. You're patient, gentle. You know what to do. I was a mother once too, long time ago. Madison looked surprised. I didn't know you had kids. Stepkids. From my first marriage. They were teenagers when I married their father. They never accepted me. When we divorced, I lost them completely. That must have been hard. It was. That's partly why I was so patient with you. I didn't want to repeat that pattern. But I made you repeat it anyway. For years. Yes, but we're past that now. Are we? Really? Aren't we? She smiled. Yeah, I think we are. Last Christmas, 2 years after the Christmas table incident, Madison asked if she could host Christmas at our house again. I felt my chest tighten. Why? Because I want to. But this time, I want to do it right. I want to ask you first. Plan it with you. Make it our Christmas. Not me taking over your Christmas. Robert watched this exchange nervously. What did you have in mind? I asked carefully. I thought we could plan the menu together, decorate together, set the table together, and you sit at the head, next to Dad, where you belong. You want to help me host, not host for me. Exactly, I considered. Then, okay, let's plan it. We spent weeks planning that Christmas together. She'd suggest something. I'd offer input. We'd compromise, collaborate, actually work together. When Christmas Day came, the house looked beautiful. The table was set perfectly. The meal was delicious. And when we sat down, Madison made a point of pulling out my chair at the head of the table. Your seat, Diane. I sat. Robert next to me. Madison and Tyler and Emma further down. Before we ate, Madison raised her glass. I want to make a toast to Diane, who's been patient with me for 14 years, who set boundaries I needed, who's shown me what it means to be both strong and kind. Thank you for being part of this family. Thank you for being Emma's grandma Diane. And thank you for being exactly who you are. I cried. Robert cried. Even Tyler looked misty. Thank you, Madison. That means more than you know. We ate, laughed, played with Emma, enjoyed being family. Real family. Not perfect, but genuine. After they left, Robert said, that was the Christmas I always hoped we'd have. It took a lot to get here. Was it worth it? All the fighting, the boundaries, the pain. Yes, because this isn't fake peace where I'm erased. This is real peace where I'm respected. I should have given you that from the beginning. You're giving it to me now. That's what matters. He pulled me close. I love you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to show you that you're my priority. I love you too, and I forgive you. That's the truth about blended families. They don't blend naturally. You have to set boundaries, draw lines, sometimes fight for your position. But if you do that work, if you stand your ground when it matters, you can build something real, something where everyone knows their role, where everyone is respected, where love isn't about sacrifice, but about mutual honor. My name is Diane Foster. I'm 57 now. 3 years ago, my stepdaughter took my place at the Christmas table. I took it back, set boundaries, demanded respect. And because I did that, because I refused to be erased, Madison and I have a real relationship now. Emma calls me Grandma Diane. Robert prioritizes our marriage. None of that would have happened if I'd let Madison keep my seat. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stand your ground. Draw the line. Say, this is my position, and you will respect it. It feels harsh in the moment. It feels cruel, but it's not. It's honest. It's clear. And it creates the foundation for real relationship. Madison didn't need me to disappear. She needed me to stand firm, to show her where the boundaries were, to prove that respecting me was non-negotiable. And once she did that, once she stopped testing and started respecting, we could actually build something. That Christmas table was the turning point, the moment I stopped being accommodating and started being strong. And everything changed because of it. If you're in a blended family and struggling with boundaries, hear this. You're not being cruel when you stand your ground. You're being clear. And clarity, even when it's uncomfortable, is kinder than constant accommodation that breeds resentment. Set your boundaries. Claim your position. Don't apologize for being the wife, the lady of the house, the one who deserves respect. The people who truly love you will respect those boundaries. The ones who don't, well, maybe they need to, for the relationship to survive. Share this if you've had to fight for your position in your own home. Comment if you've been made to feel like a guest in your own space. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more honest conversations about blended families and boundaries, my table, my seat, my home, my position. I claimed it, and I'm keeping it. That's everything. Before I close this story, there are some critical truths about stepmothering and boundaries that need to be said. Truths I learned through pain. Truths that might help someone else avoid years of being pushed aside. The first truth, being understanding doesn't mean being invisible. For 12 years, I tried to be understanding of Madison's grief, her loss, her need for time. I gave her space, didn't push, didn't demand she accept me. And somewhere in all that understanding, I made myself invisible. I didn't demand to be included in wedding planning because I was being understanding. I didn't push back when she ignored me at family events because I was being patient. I didn't insist on respect because I was being accommodating. But understanding her grief didn't require my erasure. I could have compassion for her loss while still expecting basic respect. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. The problem was I thought they were. I thought being a good stepmother meant accepting whatever treatment I got, never pushing, never demanding, always accommodating. I was wrong. Being a good stepmother means having boundaries, clear ones, and enforcing them consistently. Madison didn't need me to disappear. She needed me to show up, fully, with expectations and boundaries and self-respect. The second truth, your husband must choose your marriage over his daughter's comfort. This is the hardest truth, the one that feels cruel to say, but it's essential. Robert is Madison's father. That's permanent. Nothing changes that. But he's also my husband, and in a healthy marriage, the spouse comes first. Not because the child matters less, but because the marriage is the foundation of the family. When Robert prioritized Madison's comfort over my respect, he undermined our marriage. He sent the message that her feelings mattered more than mine, that her wants trumped my needs. And Madison learned that lesson, learned that if she pushed hard enough, Dad would choose her, would make Diane bend, would prioritize Madison's emotional needs over his wife's boundaries. That's not healthy for anyone. Not for me, obviously, but also not for Madison, because she learned that manipulation works, that tears trump boundaries, that Dad's guilt could be weaponized. When Robert finally chose our marriage at that restaurant in February, when he told Madison she was a guest and I was his wife, it was painful for her. She felt rejected, but it was necessary, because marriages can't survive when one partner constantly prioritizes someone else over their spouse. This doesn't mean neglecting your children. It means respecting your wife. And when those two things conflict, the wife comes first. That's not selfish. That's how marriages work. The third truth, stepchildren will test boundaries until they find them. Madison didn't stop testing boundaries until I drew an unmovable line at Christmas. Until I said, this far and no further, in a way that couldn't be negotiated or ignored. Before that, every boundary I tried to set was flexible, negotiable, something Robert could talk me out of for Madison's sake. So Madison kept pushing, redecorated my house, redid my menu, took my seat, because she was looking for the line, the point where I'd say no and mean it, the boundary that wouldn't move. Children, even adult children, need boundaries. They test them not because they're bad people, but because they need to know where the limits are, what the rules are, how far they can go. When you never enforce boundaries, you're not being kind. You're being confusing, because they keep pushing, looking for the line, and it never comes. That Christmas, when I stood my ground about my seat, Madison finally found the boundary, and once she knew where it was, she could respect it. The testing stopped because the line was clear. The fourth truth, protecting your position isn't selfish. I struggled with this for years. Every time I wanted to assert myself, I'd hear this voice. You're being selfish. She lost her mother. Be the bigger person. But protecting my position as Robert's wife, as the lady of our house, wasn't selfish. It was necessary. I'm not Madison's friend. I'm not her peer. I'm her father's wife. And that position comes with certain roles and responsibilities and honors. Sitting at the head of my table isn't about ego. It's about recognizing my role as hostess, as the woman who maintains that home, as Robert's partner. When Madison tried to take that position, she wasn't just taking a seat. She was challenging my role, saying, "I can do this better than you. I should be in charge here." And if I'd let her, I'd have been accepting a demotion in my own home. From wife to, what? Helpful guest? Dad's companion? No, I'm the wife, the hostess, the lady of the house. And protecting that position isn't selfish. It's self-respect. The fifth truth. Real relationship requires honesty, not constant accommodation. For 12 years, I accommodated Madison, gave in, accepted disrespect, stayed quiet about hurt, and we had no real relationship, just polite distance, cordial coexistence, nothing genuine. It wasn't until I stopped accommodating, until I stood my ground and had the honest, painful fight, that real relationship became possible. Because Madison couldn't respect me when I had no boundaries. She couldn't see me as real when I never pushed back. I was just this figure who absorbed whatever she dished out and asked for nothing in return. But when I drew the line, when I said, "No, this is not acceptable," when I stood my ground even when it hurt her feelings, then she could see me, really see me, as a person with needs and feelings and rights. And once she saw me as real, she could actually relate to me, respect me, eventually even appreciate me. That shopping trip in June, when she apologized, when she acknowledged what she'd done, only happened because I'd stopped being endlessly accommodating. Because I'd shown her I was a person who expected respect. The fight made the relationship possible. 6 months after Emma was born, I had coffee with Susan, told her how things had improved with Madison. "I'm so glad," she said. "But I have to ask, do you think you would have gotten here without the Christmas confrontation?" I thought about that. No, absolutely not. Why not? Because Madison needed to see me as someone who wouldn't be pushed aside. And Robert needed to see that choosing me wasn't betraying Madison. And I needed to see that standing my ground was possible and necessary. Do you regret how painful it was? Yes and no. I regret that it took 12 years to get there. I regret all the years I spent being invisible. But I don't regret the confrontation itself. It was necessary. What would you tell someone in a similar situation? A stepmother being pushed aside? Stop accommodating. Set boundaries. Stand your ground, even when it feels cruel, even when your husband pushes back, even when the stepchild cries. That's hard advice to follow. Yes, but it's the only way to build real relationship, because constant accommodation isn't kindness, it's erasure. And you can't have real relationship with someone who doesn't see you as real. Susan nodded. I wish more stepmothers understood that. Me too, because I see so many of us making ourselves invisible in the name of being understanding. And it doesn't work. It just breeds resentment and distance. You're proof that it can get better. I'm proof that setting boundaries works, that standing your ground isn't cruel, that protecting your position is necessary, and that marriages can survive hard conversations. Yes, if both people are willing to do the work. That conversation crystallized something for me. The years of accommodation hadn't been kindness. They'd been fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of being called cruel. Fear of losing Robert. But the accommodation nearly cost me my marriage anyway. Because you can't build a life with someone who doesn't respect you. And Robert couldn't respect me when I didn't respect myself enough to have boundaries. The Christmas confrontation, as painful as it was, saved my marriage. Because it forced both Robert and Madison to see me, really see me, as someone who mattered, someone who couldn't be pushed aside, someone who deserved respect. Last month, Madison came over with Emma. Just a regular visit, nothing special. We were in the kitchen making lunch while Emma played nearby. Madison said, "I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" "That Christmas, when I took your seat. I didn't understand then why you reacted so strongly. And now I'm a mother, and I'm married, and if someone came into my house and tried to take over, tried to take my position as Tyler's wife and Emma's mother, I'd lose my mind. So, you understand?" "Yes, completely. And I'm sorry I didn't understand then. I was so focused on what I wanted, on feeling like I belonged, that I didn't see what I was doing to you. You were trying to find your place by taking yours, which was wrong. Yes, but we're past it now. Are we? Really? Because sometimes I worry that you still resent me. I looked at her, this woman who'd been a hostile teenager when I met her, who'd spent 12 years keeping me at a distance, who'd tried to erase me from my own home. I don't resent you. I understand you now in a way I couldn't before, and I think you understand me now too. I do. I see you as, God, this sounds cheesy, but I see you as family now. Real family, not just Dad's wife. What changed? Emma. Becoming a mother myself, realizing what you tried to give me all those years, realizing what I rejected, and realizing that it's okay to have more than one important woman in my life. What do you mean? I thought loving you meant betraying Mom, that accepting you as family meant forgetting her. But that's not how it works. I can love Mom's memory and also appreciate you. They're not mutually exclusive. No, they're not. I wish I'd figured that out sooner. We wasted a lot of years. We did, but we're making up for them now. She smiled. Yeah, we are. Emma toddled over. Gamma Diane. I picked her up. Hey, sweet girl. Madison watched us. She loves you? I love her too. Do you ever think about having your own grandkids? I mean, besides Emma. You know I don't have children of my own. Emma's the only grandchild I'll have. But you have me, and Tyler, and Emma. That's your family. Yes, it is. I'm sorry it took me so long to make it feel that way. I'm sorry I didn't stand my ground sooner. Maybe we'd have gotten here faster. Maybe. Or maybe we needed the time we needed. I thought about that. About whether we could have skipped the years of distance and conflict. Whether there was a shortcut to where we are now. Probably not. Madison needed to grow up. Become a mother herself. See me through adult eyes instead of grieving child eyes. And I needed to learn to stand my ground. To value myself enough to demand respect. To understand that being kind doesn't mean being invisible. We both had to grow. And growth takes time. Today, 3 years after the Christmas table confrontation, my life looks completely different. Madison and I talk several times a week. Real conversations about parenting, marriage, life, not just polite small talk. She brings Emma over regularly, lets me babysit, includes me in family decisions, actually values my opinion. Robert and I have a stronger marriage than ever because he learned to prioritize me. And I learned to demand that priority, and I sit at the head of my table, in my seat, next to my husband, without question or challenge, because everyone knows that's Diane's seat, and Diane's position, and that's non-negotiable. My name is Diane Foster. I'm 57 years old. 3 years ago, I took control of my position in my own home. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, standing up to my stepdaughters, fighting with my husband, risking my marriage for a boundary, but it was also the best thing I ever did, because it gave me back my dignity, my position, my self-respect, and it made real relationship possible, with Madison, with Robert, with myself. If you're a stepmother reading this, if you've been pushed aside, made invisible, treated like you don't matter, hear this. You matter. Your position matters. Your boundaries matter. Stop accommodating. Start standing your ground. It will be uncomfortable. Your stepchildren might get upset. Your husband might push back. People might call you selfish or cruel. But you're not. You're being honest. You're being clear. You're being strong. And that strength, that refusal to be erased, is what makes real relationship possible. 3 years ago, I was treated like a guest in my own home. Today, I'm the unquestioned lady of that house, and everyone respects that because I demanded it, and I didn't back down. Share this if you've had to fight for respect in your own home. Comment if you've been pushed aside by stepchildren or had your position challenged. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more honest conversations about blended families and boundaries. My table, my seat, my position, my respect. I claimed it. I'm keeping it. And I'll defend it as long as I live. That's everything. One final thought before I go. Something that might help someone who's struggling with this right now. When you're in the middle of the conflict, when you're being called selfish for having boundaries, when your stepchild is crying and your husband is angry, It feels like you're destroying everything. It feels like you're being cruel, like you're the problem. Like if you'd just be more flexible, more understanding, more accommodating, everything would be fine. But that's a lie. Everything wasn't fine when you were accommodating. You were just suffering quietly, erasing yourself gradually, losing your position inch by inch. And that suffering, that self-erasure, was destroying you. And paradoxically, it was preventing real relationship from forming. Because people don't respect what they can take for granted. They don't value what comes without effort. They don't appreciate what they never had to fight for. Madison couldn't value me when I asked nothing of her. She couldn't respect me when I had no boundaries. She couldn't see me as real when I made myself invisible. The confrontation, as painful as it was, forced her to see me, to recognize that I had feelings and needs and rights, to understand that her actions had consequences. And once she saw me as real, she could actually relate to me. So if you're in the middle of that fight right now, if you've just drawn a boundary and everyone's angry, know this: you're not destroying the relationship. You're creating the possibility of real relationship. You're demanding to be seen as real, as someone who matters. And yes, the immediate reaction will be anger, tears, accusations of cruelty. But those reactions aren't proof you're wrong. They're proof that you're disrupting a pattern that wasn't working, that you're refusing to accept unacceptable treatment anymore. Stand firm. Maintain your boundary. Don't apologize for demanding respect. The people who truly love you will adjust, will learn to respect your boundaries, will eventually appreciate that you stood your ground. The people who don't, well, they were never going to respect you anyway. Madison came around. Not immediately, not easily, but eventually. Because underneath her resistance to boundaries was a desire for real relationship. And real relationship requires mutual respect. Once she learned that respecting me was non-negotiable, she could actually build relationship with me. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Because she saw me as worth respecting. That's what boundaries create, not distance. But the possibility of genuine connection. I know it doesn't feel that way when you're in the fight, when you're being called selfish and cruel, when your husband is choosing their side and you're alone. But trust the process. Stand your ground. Maintain your boundaries. Because on the other side of that fight, if you don't back down, if you don't give in, is the possibility of real relationship, real respect, real family. Not the fake piece of constant accommodation, but the genuine connection that comes from mutual respect. 3 years ago, I felt like I was destroying everything, ruining Christmas, damaging my marriage, hurting my stepdaughter. Today I have the family I always wanted. Madison respects me. Robert values me. Emma loves me. And I have my position, my seat at my table, my role as the lady of my house. All because I refused to be erased, because I stood my ground when it mattered most, because I demanded respect even when it cost me temporary peace. That's the choice every stepmother faces eventually. Accommodation or respect, fake peace or real relationship, invisibility or position. I chose respect, position, real relationship. And I'd make that choice again, every single time. To every stepmother reading this who's been pushed aside, made invisible, treated like a guest in your own home, you have permission to take up space, to demand respect, to claim your position, to sit at the head of your own table, not because you're competing with their deceased mother, not because you're trying to replace anyone, but because you're the wife, the lady of the house, the one who deserves respect. That's not selfish. That's not cruel. That's not being difficult. That's being honest, being clear, being strong. And that strength, that refusal to be erased, is the greatest gift you can give your blended family, because it creates the foundation for real relationship, for genuine respect, for authentic family. Stand your ground, take your seat, claim your position. You deserve it. And your family needs you to do it, because families don't thrive on accommodation and self-erasure. They thrive on clear boundaries and mutual respect. Give them that gift, even when it's hard, even when they resist, even when it costs you temporary peace. Because the real peace, the lasting peace, comes from being respected in your own home. My name is Diane Foster. I took control 3 years ago, and I'm never giving up that control again. My table, my seat, my home, my position, my respect. Not negotiable. Not ever. That's everything. 3 years ago, treated like a guest. Today, respected as the lady of the house. The difference? One moment of refusing to be erased. Stand your ground. It's worth it. That's everything. And to Madison, if you ever read this, thank you. Thank you for finally respecting me. Thank you for seeing me as family. Thank you for letting me be Grandma Diane to Emma. But also thank you for pushing me to that breaking point. Because without that Christmas confrontation, without you taking my seat and forcing me to stand my ground, I would have kept accommodating forever, kept erasing myself, kept being invisible. You forced me to choose. My position or my comfort, my respect or fake peace. And I chose respect, chose position, chose myself. That choice saved me, saved our relationship, saved my marriage. So yes, thank you for being difficult enough that I had to become strong, for pushing far enough that I had to draw the line, for testing boundaries until I finally enforced them. The woman I am today, the grandmother to your daughter, the wife your father finally prioritizes, the stepmother you actually respect, exists because you pushed me too far. I wish it hadn't taken 12 years and a Christmas disaster, but I'm grateful we got here. And I'm grateful that Emma will grow up seeing women who respect each other, who have boundaries, who stand their ground, who refuse to be erased. That's the legacy I want to leave her. Not accommodation, not self-erasure, but strength, clarity, self-respect. You're teaching her that too, by respecting me now. By modeling what healthy boundaries look like, by showing her that women can have conflict and come out stronger. So thank you, Madison, for everything, even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts, because the hard parts made us real. To Robert, I forgive you for the years you prioritized Madison over me, for letting her take my seat, for calling me selfish when I stood my ground. I forgive you because you learned, you changed. You chose our marriage when it mattered most, and you've spent 3 years proving that choice was real, that you value me, that you see me as your priority. I know it's hard for you sometimes, watching Madison keep some distance, knowing that the warmth she has with me came at the cost of the unhealthy closeness she had with you. But you did the right thing, by setting boundaries, by choosing your wife, by showing Madison that you're her father, not her emotional husband. That's what she needed. Even if it hurt her, even if it changed your relationship, even if it cost you temporary closeness, you gave her the gift of boundaries, and me the gift of respect. Thank you for that, for choosing growth over comfort, for choosing me even when it was hard. I love you, and I'm proud of the husband you've become. To every woman reading this who sees herself in my story, you're not alone. There are thousands of us, stepmothers who've been pushed aside, wives who've been treated like guests, women who've been erased in their own homes, and we're done being quiet about it. We're done accommodating, done making ourselves invisible, done accepting disrespect to keep the peace. We're claiming our position, our seats at our tables, our roles as wives and ladies of our houses, and we're doing it without apology. Because we're not the villains in these stories. We're not the evil stepmothers. We're not the threats. We're women who've loved other people's children, who've built homes for blended families, who've sacrificed and accommodated and tried, and we deserve respect for that. Not erasure, not displacement, not being treated like we don't matter. So stand up, take your seat, claim your position, not someday, not when it's comfortable. Not when everyone's ready. Now, because your position isn't something you earn through endless patience. It's something you have by right, as a wife, as the lady of your house. And anyone who can't respect that doesn't deserve to be comfortable in your home. My table, my seat, my position. I'm keeping it. Forever. And so should you. That's everything. Christmas morning. My seat taken. My position challenged. My home invaded. I stood my ground. Reclaimed what was mine. Refused to be erased. Worth every hard moment. Every tear. Every fight. Because today, respected, valued, honored, my table, my seat, forever. That's everything.